welcome back to Broken Poetry Corner. So today I'm going to be reading from Emma's Little Book of Poetry, and I'm going to be reading a poem called Downing Street, which I wrote this when Boris Johnson was still Prime Minister, but the government's just been a joke recently. If you live in the UK, or even if you don't live in the UK, you've probably seen some of the ridiculous stuff going on. So I thought it was still appropriate in the climate that we're living in at the moment to share this poem. By no means, by the way, I'm just going to put a disclaimer, by no means am I trivialising any of what's going on at the moment or what has happened. I'm purely just trying to make light of a really shit situation with the Prime Ministers. So this poem is based on when Boris Johnson was in power, and he put us all into lockdown during the pandemic. You know, never thought of anything of it, but then it turned out that he was partying and having fun while the rest of us were being kept from seeing our families. So that's what I'm trying to make. I'm trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Basically, I am not trivialising what happened at all. So with that out of the way, let's go on with the video, shall we? Pretty sure you know the drill by now, but if you're new here, then I'll explain what I like to do on this channel. So I will put a picture of the poem in this video so that you can still read along while I'm doing the voiceovers to it, because I just want everybody to be able to enjoy the poem as much as possible, basically. So without further ado, let's go on with the reading of Downing Street. Downing Street. Powerful speeches and poignant words soon faltered off camera after promising us the world, and we believed it. Maybe he was still hungover from the latest party at Downing Street. He locked us away in our homes. We served our house arrest dutifully and missed out on vital moments with family while he partied and hollered hip hip hooray at our expense. The same old speeches and stagnant words fool no one. We should have known better than to believe his broken promises. It doesn't matter to him though. Even after the fines, he's tucked safely away at 10 Downing Street. Right then, and that was my reading of Downing Street. So, as I explained briefly in the beginning of this video, Boris Johnson was our Prime Minister during the pandemic. Obviously, people in the UK already know this, but if there's anyone outside the UK watching this, then it's a little bit of context. And it's safe to say he was a horrendous Prime Minister, and he will probably go down in history as one of the worst. Well, Liz Truss has probably took that title away now, but at the time I wrote this, we were in lockdown, and well, no, when I wrote this we were out of lockdown, but I was writing it as if we still were, basically. So I was writing that, you know, we were basically serving a house arrest in lockdown. That's what it felt like. We were just trapped in our own homes and we couldn't go anywhere or do anything or see the people that we loved. But good old Boris decided to party and do everything he wanted to do because he was rich, he was Prime Minister. Who was going to stop him, basically? So yeah, he was a failure as Prime Minister, but Liz Truss arguably was a bigger failure. She broke the record for shortest serving Prime Minister. She was only in for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And during that time, did she achieve any of what she set out? No. She couldn't achieve a single one of what she promised when the Conservatives voted her into power. And we are living through what is probably one of the worst cost of living crises we've seen, basically. People are struggling to afford to eat. People can't even bear to put the heating on because of the prices. But people at Downing Street don't care because they're rich and they don't ever have to worry about eating. They don't ever have to worry about putting the heating on. They don't ever have to worry about paying their bills because they have enough money that it doesn't matter to them. So we've got Rishi Sunak now as Prime Minister, and time will tell whether or not he can turn things round, but you can't blame us for not being optimistic with everything we've already suffered through with the Conservatives in power. So I basically wanted to write this poem to illustrate the failures of the government. Obviously this was written before the cost of living crisis really kicked in, but had I written this in today's climate, it would have outlined the cost of living crisis and the, you know, like people not being able to put the heatings on, the rise in food banks. Like it's so sad that people are having to rely on food banks to survive, and something needs to be done because these people in power don't understand. They'll never understand what it's like to be normal people who struggle in their day-to-day lives. They are so out of touch, it's ridiculous. But anyway, rant over. I hope that you like this poem, and if you want to see more poems on this channel, then please do subscribe and hit the bell icon if you haven't already, so that you don't miss any future videos. But until then, I will see you guys next time.